Hello everyone. In this lesson, we are going to learn about async pipe that you can use to utilize when you receive some value from some asynchronous method. For example, when something returns an observable or a promise. Now, you can learn more details about async pipe in the angular.io page, and also as I mentioned, it works on both observable and promise, and we'll discuss the difference between these in a later video. But for now, just remember that async pipe can work on either observable or promise, both of them, and they usually mean something that will come asynchronously, like in the future, and you want to write some code for that. So the way we can try it out is example that we already have, to explore more on that. So in our user service, we already have a user observable, and the constructor for that service is basically taking the auth state from Firebase auth and then putting that into that user. So now we can use this to create a logout functionality. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So let's open our application. In our application, if we go to the login path, we have a sign in or sign up functionality that we have already implemented. Now, if we want to create a logout button when the user is already logged in, let's see how to do that. So for that, let's take the button example from in the albums. We have this create album button. We can use something similar in the for the logout button. So let's go and copy that example from the albums component. So we can go to my albums and then go to my albums component.html, and we have the success button here. So let's copy that example and we can put that in the app component.html. So here we have the navigation, and after the navigation, if we put the logout button here, we'll decide on the functionality later. Let's see how the view looks. So we have a logout button here, and it also shows the same color. Maybe we can use slightly different color for the logout button. Let's look different Bootstrap example for buttons. So maybe for logout we can use this red option, and the class is used for that is danger, so we can use that. And this will give us a logout button here. Now this logout button, we don't want it to be always present. We want it to be only present when the user is logged in. So for that, we can use the ngIf directive. And we can rely on this app component. If we go to app component.ts, currently the app component does not have any reference to the user service. So we should have a reference to the user service here. So we can copy that from the login component. As you can see in the login component, the constructor basically creates an instance, or more accurately, actually injects a dependency of the user service here. So we can do the same thing for the app component. And it complains about not finding user service, and we can go ahead and import that. But once the user service is there, we can refer to the variable that user service has, which is user. So the way we can refer to that from our view is we can copy this variable name, and in the ngIf we can put that service name dot the service has this variable user, and we can try that. And then let's go ahead and see, and we can see that the logout is showing up. But so let's add, but it's not actually properly working, and we'll see that as an example soon. So if I click on logout, something should happen. So let's add that functionality, and then we'll get back to the why do we need the async pipe there. So when this hyperlink is clicked, we're creating a binding for that, event binding. So when this hyperlink is clicked, we're going to call the logout method from the component. And now in the component, we're adding a logout method, and what that method will do is, when this method is called, it is going to call this user service dot. So currently the user service only has login and sign up, so the user service also need a logout method. So it is going to call user service logout method. Now let's go ahead and add that logout method in user service. Logout, and the functionality that this will have is this dot firebase auth dot it needs to have a way to log out, and that will be, let's take a look at the way we can log out. Firebase auth dot sign out. So now when the logout button is clicked, it's going to call this method in the component logout, that is going to call the service method logout, and the service method logout is going to call firebase auth.auth.signout. So let's see that in action. So we have the logout button, and then if we click on the logout button, then the user should be logged out, but it's not getting reflected. And that's where the async pipe comes in handy. So here in app component, we said ng if user service.user. So that user service.user is giving an user observable, a Firebase user wrapped in an observable. Now whenever this observable value change, we want it to get reflected. So that's why we need to use the async pipe here in the app component. So if we instead use a async pipe, now you will see that the logout button is not present because we already clicked on the logout. Now if we go back and log in again, and if we type a user that we have previously signed up and click on sign in, so maybe I type the username wrong. If the let's just sign up with a new user. Sign up, the user is signed up, and then you see that the logout button is immediately present. And if we log out, the button will go away, but we can sign in again. And then the logout button will appear again. So that's happening because of this async pipe. Whenever the value is changing, it's getting reflected. And we need this async pipe because this user service.user is not a regular variable. It's a variable of type observable where the value will come in the future. That's it for async pipe. Thank you.